us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And we are back. So back on a Monday. This is Beat the Book. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me is our betting expert in the building, Dylan Cohen, broadcasting live from the Harman Solar Studios at 1580 The Fanatic in kind of sunny, kind of cloudy, uptown Scottsdale. And we have a show for you that involves an awful lot of football. Bills, Chiefs, AFC Championship game. That was yesterday. NFC Championship game. That was yesterday, too. Boy, my poor Commanders got mowed down by the Eagles. We will discuss. We'll also get to a little bit of a Super Bowl preview because, of course, once those games end, the lines come out for the Super Bowl. So what are we looking at here as far as potential line movement? We'll get to that. We'll look at the NBA tonight. We'll go ahead and get to some of the bets that you can make because there's some really nice ones. And then, of course, segment 3, as we do, the big game hunting. We look for the long shot parlay. Dylan breaks it down. You're on the text line at 888-368-1580. And before we get to any and all of those things, Dylan, who powers the show? Well, your mic was pushed down. Now that it's on, who powers the show?
First and foremost, that would be Sport Trade. If you have not already, make sure you search Sport Trade on your smartphone, get the app downloaded, and use promo code 1580 to take advantage of their 10% cashback promotion on all of the wagers that you place in your first week. And of course, we also have the Sport Trade win probability contest that was going on over the weekend. You needed to text us with what you thought the win percentage was going to be for the Washington Commanders at halftime of the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And we will actually be revealing the winner of this on tomorrow's show. So make sure you tune in for that. But of course, we're going to get into that game, discuss what went well, what did not go so well, what kinds of things the Commanders need to do to try and retool and, look to get back into it, coming next season for the NFL. But outside of Sport Trade, we are now also powered by Edge Boost. And when you sign up for Edge Boost, just go to edgeboost.bet. That's where you can go to learn more and get your account set up. You can use promo code 1580 on there to earn even more cash back on all of those sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino deposits. And I've spoken quite a few times last week, really going in depth on exactly what Edge Boost is. And just to keep this brief, Edge Boost is a bank account that is designed specifically for any daily fantasy site, casino, and sportsbook transactions. So with each deposit that you make using your Edge Boost bank account, you can earn up to 0.5% cash back on all of the volume each month that you deposit from your Edge Boost account into your sports books, into your daily fantasy sites, your prize picks, your underdogs, things of that nature, as well as casino transactions as well. So again, if you are someone that wagers often, if you happen to wager higher units, 3 figures, 4 figures, 5 figures, you need to be using Edge Boost. You are just simply missing out on free money after the weekend that we just had with tons of college basketball. We had NBA going down on Saturday. We had the football on Sunday. I am now looking at getting almost about $400 cash back. And again, that isn't by winning any direct bet to get that money back. That's purely just based off of all of the activity that I was doing anyway, regardless of having Edge Boost. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to sign up, get that account going, so that way you can start generating some cash back on all of the play that you do through your sports betting apps, your prize picks, your underdogs, your casino visits, however it is you like to, try and get in the game and make your wagers. So now that we've got that out of the way, Keon, let's get down to business here. We had quite the AFC Championship game going on last night. That was between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. It was, just one of those games. We were talking about this before we went on the air here, where Like, you just have such a high degree of certainty about how this game is going to go. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, well, it was really obvious who was going to win. I'm not saying, from that point of view. I'm saying the absolute overall consensus of just about anyone who was looking forward to watching this game or betting it or, just taking it in. You could have asked anyone, everyone would have said this is going to be close. This is going to come down to the final score, whether that be a touchdown, whether that be a field goal. I think there was just a very firm general expectation like this game would not be one-sided in any particular direction. And part of that is because we've been treated to this matchup, before yesterday's game, it 3 times, like over the last 4 years. Now we're at, 4 times of it. And
second this season.
I mean, when we're just talking at least the postseason games, 3 out of 4 of these postseason games have all come down to like a 1-score margin. So, just for the football enthusiasts, over here, incredible game that we were treated to yesterday. The Kansas City Chiefs were victorious against the Buffalo Bills. They will be advancing to the Super Bowl. Final score 32-29. Patrick Mahomes rushes for 2 touchdowns. Oh my God, what a missed betting opportunity there.
I know. If you could have seen that one coming. Oh my God.
Unfortunately, Josh Allen doesn't get a single rushing touchdown. Meanwhile, he was the absolute favorite on the betting market to get an anytime touchdown in that game. That was unfortunately something that we missed on. But speaking about the Beat the Book picks, just a reminder, there are picks given out by this show Monday through Friday. There is a Beat the Book website that you can visit. You can search in your browser, Beat the Book Fanatic, Beat the Book Dylan Cohen. Either one of those things will pull up the Beat the Book website. You can also visit 1580thefanatic.com, click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo. That'll take you right to the site that has all of the picks that we put out Monday through Friday. There are 10 individual bets that we post. You can make any parlay combinations of those that you like, however you see fit. And then at the very bottom of each post, there is a long shot parlay. It will generally pay at least 100 to 1 or better. We are going to break down today's long shot parlay in segment 3. So make sure you stick around for that.
I'm really excited about this one. This one is just pure fun. And if it hits, it's going to feel nice.
It's going to be sweet. So I'm looking forward to getting into it. But getting back to the football game here, this was one where in this particular game, I had Chiefs money line. That was one of my top picks that I gave out on Friday. And then the prop bet that I was taking a stab at was the Josh Allen anytime touchdown. And, that was a bummer that did not hit. I have to imagine that was a really popular one that, Vegas and all the sports books must have came out pretty well on top of there. Keon, what were your takeaways from the AFC Championship game? Did anything about this surprise you, or was this the result that you were expecting to?
I mean, like in terms of how close the game wound up being, I really thought, that this is kind of what I expected. I thought both of these quarterbacks were going to try and play their best football and really show, why, first off, why they're constantly MVP candidates, especially Josh Allen. And that, in a game like this where you just know the team with the most mistakes, that's the team that's going to wind up losing this game. I thought both of these guys did a really good job, largely of protecting the football and not really putting it in danger. I think there was a Patrick Mahomes almost interception that he threw there late. But in terms of making really good decisions with the football, if you want to know how the quarterback position is played, you're a high school kid, you just want to know, watch this game back. So many high-level decisions were made. So many high-level throws were made. And yeah, like you said, it was a treat. We got treated to a game where just 2 of the best quarterbacks of this generation of quarterbacks are playing at the highest level that you can ask for on with a trip to the Super Bowl essentially on the line. It does, obviously put a damper on this rivalry that Josh Allen doesn't seem to win anything in it when it really matters in the playoffs. So that kind of dampers things down a little bit. But in terms of how good the game was and how good these teams were, and even how good the defenses were, I thought the Chiefs were really, really good early. And then the Bills were really good late, but ultimately Kansas City gets it done.
Yeah, and speaking of Josh Allen, I don't know if you happen to see the post game conference. The poor guy, I just feel for him because he has this look on his face that it looks like someone that is deeply, deeply frustrated, but not even just frustrated. It's like you can just look at him and without him saying a thing, you can tell that like there's something in particular that has just kept this guy down for a very, very long time. And I mean, we've seen this before within the NFL. There have been great players that have come around in this league, and the potential on what they could accomplish in their careers is essentially limited because they just happen to be in the league at the same time as someone else who is just like a little bit better. And maybe what I'm trying to say there, I'm not saying necessarily you take Patrick Mahomes, you take Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes is much better, but the systems that these guys play in, the overall teams, the composures of it, who the coaching is, the schedules, like everything that boils into it over the last 4 years, it's just as if Patrick Mahomes is he's been better set up for this success. And Josh Allen, I mean, he's going to go down as a great quarterback. I don't think anyone's going to look at his career, even if it ended today. I mean, people are going to look back. They're going to recognize a guy that was very, very good in this league. But it's kind of like, Peyton Manning. That's a guy that feels like he should have way more Super Bowl rings than he does. And it's because he ran into Tom Brady. I mean,
and Belichick and that defense, and it was over and over and over again. And, he had all the hardware as far as the MVPs and the on the field accolades, but the championship is what you play for. And look, like there's still plenty of football ahead of Josh Allen. So I don't want to write his career obituary just yet. But yeah, right. As of right now, it's a tough conversation to have because Josh Allen has 7 playoff wins, which is the most of any quarterback to never go to a Super Bowl. The guy is not falling apart in the postseason. He's playing well. He's winning games. And then that guy that wears red in Kansas City, number 15, he keeps running into him over and over and over again. Like, I don't know what else he could ask Josh Allen to do.
So let me ask you this then, because this is now the 4th time in Josh Allen's career that he's being sent home by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. What kinds of things do the Buffalo Bills need to look into doing over the offseason to try and retool and put this team in a better position to win the AFC, next season? Is it a problem on the offense, or is it something where they need to focus more on the defense?
I would say it's not a problem offensively, but getting Josh Allen like a real dangerous deep threat would be nice. I think that would really help a lot, but I don't think that that's the reason why this team fell short. I think they scored enough points in this game to win this game. And throughout the season, I think that when you have Josh Allen, even if you don't have the highest end receivers, you have really good guys. That's enough to make that offense go. So I'm not really worried about that nearly as much. But the defense, that's where I think I've got a lot of concerns. I have some concerns with them in that secondary in particular, but sometimes their pass rush just fails to get home. And I understand that this is something that we've seen them struggle with, against Mahomes, and like Mahomes does that to defenses. He does make it difficult on them to get rushers and get sacks. But when you look at what the Bills did defensively throughout the year, there were some amazing Josh Allen performances that resulted in actual losses for the Bills, like the Rams game, 44-42 game where they lost that game to the Rams. That was the Josh Allen 6 touchdown game, and we're seeing him do stuff that no other quarterback is doing, and they're still losing games because they give up entirely too many points. The next week, they win the game against Detroit, scored 48, but they gave up 42. Like, they're just, you start to get to the playoffs and the margins get a little bit thinner, and it's a little bit harder to win these games. The defense is where that stuff gets picked up, and they just don't have a really good defense at all. And, I think that they suffer because of it, because they give up points in bunches. And that is the worst thing you can do in the playoffs.
I just kind of had this crazy thought. There's a lot of speculation about a guy like Max Crosby on the Raiders potentially being maybe on the move this summer. What if his sights were set on Buffalo?
I mean, if you take the production they got from Von Miller and quadrupled it, that's essentially what you'd be doing with Max Crosby. I mean, he's such an incredible football player. And again, like the pass rush needs some help. And Max Crosby is even if you double team him, that is not a guarantee that you've stopped him kind of player. That's who he is. That would be incredible for this Bills defense, and I can't imagine what kind of disgusting stuff they'd figure out to do there.
Well, and to what you were saying before, like this season, my biggest takeaway from the Bills was in how much Josh Allen can really elevate guys on the offense when you strip him of a Gabe Davis or a Stephon Diggs. I mean, would a really serious, good, deep threat help that offense? Absolutely. There's no question about it. But I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think focusing on the defense has to be what the Bills need to be doing this offseason to try and get back to this AFC Championship game to get over, the Chiefs hump, so to speak. I mean, in some of these bigger games against the better quarterbacks, I mean, the Bills just they cannot attack the quarterback fast enough, and then that just kind of cascades and leads to more issues in the secondary. Whether it's Patrick Mahomes or even a Matthew Stafford, like how you mentioned in the Rams
or another
game.
guy that you have to face in the playoffs over and over again is Lamar Jackson. You see some of these guys that scramble, put a lot of pressure on that defense. And again, like we talk about the Ravens and how badly they played and all the mistakes that they made, the Mark Andrews fumble, the dropped catch, Lamar's fumble. And the Ravens still almost sent that game to overtime with all the mistakes that they made in that game. That's because of the Bills' defense. It just wasn't good enough. Most teams take all of those miscues that the Ravens make and bury them. The Bills can't because their defense doesn't really help them take advantage of it.
So, I mean, there's definitely more, that could be said in this conversation. And I think over the next couple of weeks, this might be something that we'll do is just kind of do a roundtable of, teams that couldn't make it out of this postseason and what kinds of things do they need to focus on to, put themselves in a better spot for next season. So we'll have to carry that on there. Let's jump over to the NFC Championship game, and we won't spend too much time on this, Keon. The Philadelphia Eagles were victorious in this one against the Washington Commanders. Final score 55-23. You just had an absolutely absurd on paper performance from Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Each of them go for 3 rushing touchdowns. And if you had the foresight to play each of them for 2 or more touchdowns, or if you somehow got the 3 touchdowns for each of them, if you put that on a bet, send us a text. Let us know. We'd love to shout that out. 888-368-1580. I think one of my biggest missed opportunities betting wise in this game was just simply on the over, because the pregame line, I want to say it was like 46.5, and they finished with 78 points. I mean, just so much potential there to ladder and over on the total. And, we spoke last week going into that game. It wasn't going to be like the week before where you had to deal with precipitation and winds, like other than it just being, like a brisk 40 degrees outside, elements weren't very severe. And that clearly enabled both of the teams to be able to, score and be able to move the offenses. It was really just the Eagles offense that some miraculous runs, especially from a guy like Saquon Barkley. He is having just an unbelievable regular season and postseason run now.
His postseason might actually be better than his regular season. Like the decision for him to not try to chase that Eric Dickerson record really pays off when you're just look at how healthy he looks. Like it looks like he hasn't really played a full NFL season of football. And he's breaking tackles. He's making guys miss in the open field.
The man had 2 touchdowns in his first 3 carries.
Yeah, I think Frankie Louvu's still falling down trying to tackle him. Like it's just he guy's just incredible, man.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because that actually, like, we didn't even bring that up before.
Yeah, I mean
that was comical. That was like,
and Frankie Louvu's a really good football player,
and I don't blame him. Like, I mean, what can you do to stop the tush push? And what we're talking about here was there was a goal line stand. Was this in the second half of the game? Second half of the game, Eagles are clearly going for the Jalen Hurts tush push. It's a very annoying play to be, on the defense and have to try to stop. There's almost nothing you can really do. So Frankie Louvu on the Commanders really just going all out, extra effort to like try and stop this tush push from happening. He is anticipating, when the play is going to go. And this man is literally hurling his body over like 2 rows of guys lined up.
The defensive line and the offensive line and the neutral zone. And the ball hasn't even been snapped yet. You get a still image of Frankie Louvu in the air with no one to tackle. That's how concerned he is about the tush push. It's like, what do you do?
Well, and then you have kind of like the funny part of it was the officiating, because you have the crew chief being like, hey, that's, you can't do that. Half the distance to the goal, half the distance to the goal. Oh, all right, we can't really do that anymore because like you're so close to the goal line.
Yeah.
So we're just going to let you guys know that we have the power to just award a touchdown. So think about whether or not you want to do this again, Frankie Louvu. That's like literally something that got said on the mic during the broadcast. And then it was like, all right, fine.
Yeah. I mean, but what do you do? I mean, there's you have to do something. And look, I appreciate the guy for trying, because the other option is that he doesn't care enough to even bother to give the effort. And he did. It's just that play is not stoppable. And if you want to stop the Eagles from scoring a touchdown, you can't let them inside the 5.
No, you absolutely can't. But at the same time, it's like, look, when you're on that high of a stage, I would rather see you trying, and going for it than not.
Even if it's kind of silly and fairly ridiculous, I was still pretty proud watching that. It just the thing is, ultimately the Eagles are a more well-rounded team than the Washington Commanders are. You look at what the Eagles were able to do passing. The numbers passing for the Commanders and Eagles virtually the same. The difference was on the ground. The Eagles rushed for about 200 more yards than Washington did, and they did it much more easily. And like what I think the Commanders could stand to do this offseason, and there's some defensive stuff they can fix. Running the football has to be a priority for them. They need help at running back. And, like we've seen what Derrick Henry was able to do to help unlock Lamar Jackson to another level that we didn't even know he had. I think that I'd like to see that for Jayden Daniels, who was the leading rusher of the team this season in that game and in this entire playoff run. Like, they just can't run the ball enough, and you can't rely on Jayden to do it all. You need a more balanced attack and a more balanced football team.
Well, and you really also just you got to take a step back and just see this season that the Commanders had, obviously tremendously surpassing any expectation for how things could have played out. Jayden Daniels is like the grand slam of all NFL draft grand slams that you could have ever possibly pulled off. We don't know what the pricing on this market is going to look like yet, but when they eventually put out the MVP odds for next season, I have to assume Jayden Daniels is going to open in the top 5 of that pricing. If he's not, I'm throwing some money on that, because at that point, there's just too much value to pass up.
Yeah, and I just feel like, personally, if I may speak as a fan, the press conference afterwards where he was just talking to the meeting, he's like, I never want to feel like this again. That makes me very happy. And yeah, if he's not in the top 5, I'm throwing a boatload of money on that too.
It really just, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the exact things you want to hear out of your quarterback, and that's something I've never heard ever come out of Kyler Murray's mouth.
Yeah, he's been in the playoffs before. It is depressing. He's gotten embarrassed in the playoffs before. His team's been crushed, but he sounded mad that everybody was making him look bad, as opposed to, I hate losing and I will not be losing anymore. That is a different mentality entirely. I don't know, Kyler, take notes.
Absolutely. So I know we're getting we're pretty held up here for a break.
Let me just go ahead and clear up the text line here, because we did have a couple of texts. Jazz says, took a big L on my plus 10,000 parlay. Thank you, Kelsey.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, plus 10,000. What did you? How many legs were in that, Jazz? Baker's Cocky Hen says, you guys see the guy who hit the rushing touchdown in each quarter for each game parlayed? $20 into 10K. No, you did not see that guy, Baker's Cocky Hens. Oh my God. And then he also says, also Butler is now suspended indefinitely. Wow. Who saw Jimmy getting his way? Jimmy did, and Jimmy always gets his way. So we'll get you more Jimmy Butler news if it's out there. Dylan can't believe this.
We're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that on the other side. You're listening to Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Make extra money daily from your sports betting? Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here. I'm always about finding ways to take sports betting to the next level, and that's exactly why I'm pumped to tell you about Edge Boost, the financial platform that pays you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all of your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. That's free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're already doing. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it will never be declined for gambling activity. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today. That's edgeboost.bet. Once again, edgeboost.bet.
This new year, I want to spend more time with my family, get healthier, and make sure my finances are in order. That includes finally securing life insurance. My friend recommended SelectQuote. They've helped more than 2 million people find coverage in the last 40 years. In 15 minutes, a licensed insurance agent found me a $500,000 policy for only $16 a month. And my husband got a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Plus, we qualified for same-day life insurance. No medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. With SelectQuote, even if you have a health concern, be it high blood pressure, diabetes, even heart disease, their experienced agents can find you the right life insurance policy at the lowest price. Make life insurance the first resolution you check off your list this year.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-262-1212 to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-262-1212. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-262-1212. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Sports bettors, we've all been there. You have a live bet lined up, you check the odds one more time, place the bet only to see the bet delayed by the spinny wheel, line move, and your bet rejected. My name's Alex Kane, and I'm the founder and CEO of SportTrade, Arizona's newest sports betting app. At the core of the SportTrade offering is our probability-based odds. In other words, the Cardinals may be offered at 55% odds to win, a lot simpler than minus 125. Place your bet at 55% odds, and as your win probability changes, so does the value of your bet, giving you the ability to cash out with total control. And the best part, no spinny wheels. Live bets on SportTrade are instantly accepted. Download SportTrade on your iPhone today and use code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet in your first week. Terms apply.
SportTrade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
Your home for sports.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Money your way.
So we've got the Super Bowl odds, or at least the opening Super Bowl odds over the next 14 days. We know that that line is going to move, not just the line for the big game, but also the line for some of the player props and everything involved in that. And we'll keep an eye on that, of course, as we get closer and closer to the Super Bowl, which, by the way, we are the Super Bowl station here, 1580 The Fanatic, for all of your football needs in the Valley that I guess isn't Cardinals. But let's get to the Super Bowl stuff real quick and break that down a little, because there is potential for line movement, DC.
There's absolutely potential. So now that we know who is going to be playing in the Super Bowl, we do have a line out on the game. And this actually works a little bit differently than some of the other games in the NFL postseason so far. You're going to actually see pretty thorough offering, at least on FanDuel right now. I would imagine it's similar on most other books. But if you want to look into player props right now for the Super Bowl, they've got just about all of those, it looks like, already posted, as well as, the major markets, the, money line, the spread, total over under. So the way that this is all sitting right now, and this is just going off how it reads on FanDuel, the Chiefs are a 1.5 point favorite. They are priced at minus 124 on the money line. So the Eagles are the underdog. You can get them for just over even money right now at plus 106. And Keon, this is the tricky part, because as a bettor, like, I already know which side of the fence I fall on for this game. It's the same team that I picked to win the Super Bowl at the very beginning of the season. If you want to go all the way back to the Beat the Book NFL Futures Edition, my pick to win the Super Bowl was the Kansas City Chiefs. And we can get into why we think that is. I think we should save that conversation until we get a bit closer to the actual game. But for me, knowing that I believe the Chiefs are going to win, I want to bet the Chiefs. Looking at how this line is priced right now, I don't necessarily think that this is the best price that I can bet on. I believe that if you just wait and we get a little closer to this game, I think there's a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans out there that like to bet, that want to back their team, and to be able to get them over even money right now on the money line, that's a very good value play for anyone that is, leaning towards the Eagles side of this matchup. So if there's enough money that comes down on the Eagles being an underdog right now, being priced over even money, if enough of it goes there, it could sway things to where this could then become a pick 'em. And then you're looking at Chiefs and Eagles both priced like -110, -106, somewhere in that range, which is still better than -124, which is on the Chiefs money line now. But it's very possible throughout the 2 weeks between now and Super Bowl, this thing could fluctuate. The Eagles could become the favorite, then the Chiefs are dogs, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs money blows in on the Chiefs being, +120 or wherever it might go to. And you'll see it kind of act as like a pendulum. It'll go back and forth. So for anyone that is leaning towards Chiefs, if you already know at this point that's the way you want to bet it, I would recommend just being a little patient on this. Keep your eye on this line. Could most of the public be backing the Chiefs and like forcing this thing to run up, and all of a sudden the spread is 2.5, 3.5, God forbid 4.5? Like maybe, sure. But I look at this matchup kind of similar to the Chiefs and the Bills AFC Championship game. We've already seen this play out once before, Super Bowl 57. Chiefs won by 3 points. Very close game, very competitive. Mm-hmm. Different players, not 100% the same teams, but a lot of the same players. And
the core, you could say, is the same.
Exactly. Yeah. The core is the same. I just think we know with a pretty high degree of certainty, even 2 weeks out, that assuming there's no crazy unforeseen injuries that come up and now impact players are missing this game, as long as that doesn't happen, we're probably in for another very, very close competitive game. Now, there is a great opportunity with where this line sits for something. If you want to get a bet down right now, I would recommend looking at the over on the total points. Right now, the total on this game is 49.5, leaning more towards the under. And just going off of at least the 2 championship games that we got yesterday, which were played outdoors in the elements, both of these games well surpassed 49.5. You had the Chiefs and the Eagles going for, the Chiefs and the Bills going for 61. You had the Eagles and the Commanders going for 78. And they're going to be playing indoors. I mean, right off the bat, that's something where that total over under, that's going to go up between now and when kickoff happens for the Super Bowl. So that's one thing. If you want to get it now, I would definitely say hit that over. Keon, do you have any immediate observations that you like about this game? Or, the other thing that we talked about too was Saquon Barkley for 2 rushing touchdowns. It almost feels automatic.
Yeah, that just feels like that's free money. That's just, if that's on the table, that's free money. And I don't think you should wait to bet that one, just because there's no way that as we get closer to the game, people are less likely to bet Saquon for 2 touchdowns. He is the engine of this team. He is a guy who is in MVP consideration, and rightfully so, and the only non-quarterback in that conversation, and for such a good reason. I mean, Saquon is dangerous from any point on the field, and I think that that's what makes him a true touchdown threat. He doesn't just need to be in the red zone to be dangerous.
Saquon for 2 or more touchdowns on FanDuel right now, it's paying plus 290, so just a hair under 3-1 odds. I mean, if you want to build that in a parlay with some other stuff, that'll help boost your payout. If you just want to take that straight up, it's an excellent prop to work with. Saquon is just absolutely running like crazy right now, and we'll revisit this market. We will obviously have a ongoing discussion about this game between now and when it actually tips off. But there was some breaking news in the Jimmy Butler saga, and we had it in our plans for the show. We were going to briefly touch base on it, but we weren't familiar with this breaking news.
No,
so
Baker's cocky hens got us the goods there to
thank you, Baker's cocky hens.
Redirect how this conversation is going to go.
Completely redirected how this conversation was going to go, because the plan was to be like, hey, not a whole lot's really changed here. That is not the case. A lot has actually changed for today in the context of whether or not your Phoenix Suns are actually going to go out and get this guy. So the breaking news on Jimmy Butler, he has been suspended indefinitely by the Miami Heat. It's some circles are describing it as a 5-game suspension. Some are like it's kind of like 5 games, but not really 5 games. Like they'll hold him out longer than that. So as far as the length of it, indefinite, maybe not indefinite, we'll see. This whole thing is starting to go the direction of Jimmy Butler on the Timberwolves. Just to give you a little preview of what I'm about to say here.
Okay. Wow.
So what caused this suspension? Well, the Heat had their shoot around this morning. Jimmy was informed that he would not be a part of the starting lineup. Jimmy turned around and walked out.
Oh boy.
So left his shoot around, didn't participate in, an act of rebelling against the news that he was not going to be a part of the starting lineup. I mean, you look at this from Miami's standpoint and it makes sense. It's reasonable for them. Like, you're on your way out, dude. You're kicking and screaming and doing everything you can possibly do without like really kind of overstepping some like crazy lines. And this team doesn't want to start you anymore. Like that's reasonable. So for you to turn around and just be like, all right, deuces, I'm not part of the team. I'm not a starter anymore. I mean, this is where things are really starting to sour, and it's getting away from, trying to just respect the Heat culture and be a pro. And I mean, it was bizarre that the Heat even wanted to play him through this. I didn't think he was going to get another opportunity on the court.
When he came back, we talked about this, like how can you keep Jimmy away from microphones and cameras and all this other stuff if you've got him out there? And they're not giving him the DNPs, which I would just do. There's nothing wrong with that. This is coach's decision. You could DNP a guy as much as you want to. And Jimmy, they just decided not to do that. And I don't know why. And it seems like the decision is turning.
So now you take a look at this through the lens of, the Phoenix Suns trying to make a trade and their chances of potentially landing Jimmy. And there was a few days to a week period where the betting market really liked it. Things were totally pointing towards the direction of Jimmy's going to get traded to Phoenix. It's still a possibility at this point. But as far as the betting market goes, that's not the way things are pointing right now. So DraftKings, which was featuring a betting market on Jimmy Butler's next team, they don't currently have one. And again, that's not necessarily indicating that they think he's for sure going to go to Phoenix or get traded. To me, what that indicates is we don't know what's going to happen. And we're not comfortable with the level of risk when this is genuinely an unknown. If they thought that it was now extremely likely that he just ruined his chances of going anywhere and it's more than likely he's just going to stay on the Heat, they'd still have a market for it. You can then just bet on him going to the Heat. DraftKings has no idea how this is going to play out. So once I saw that on there, I was like, okay, that's not a great sign. Why don't we check on Polymarket? And again, take this with a grain of salt. This isn't the same as sports betting. There's other nuances that influence, what the odds are showing on here, but it's still a way to get a read on what is the majority opinion on this. And right now on Polymarket, the most popular option with the highest percent chance is for Jimmy to not get traded. When he does things like this and he shows at least the rest of the league, I want what I want so badly that I'm going to start to get really petty with this stuff. And I'm just going to walk out of my shoot around. I think other teams like, say, the Suns, I don't think that completely deters them from wanting Jimmy, but you still have to project professionalism. You still have to be a team player. And these are the things that don't look good on Jimmy, that to every other team out there that he said he's open to going to except the Memphis Grizzlies, it lessens his value. Other teams don't have a reason to try and offer the Miami Heat the farm, the kitchen sink. They are not motivated to put together a big juicy package for Jimmy Butler when they know that there's this discourse going on. Jimmy's just kind of souring the whole thing. Now there's kind of, this is double-sided, because then at the same time, it's like, okay, Miami, really? You just want to keep dealing with this? At first it seemed like, they had an appetite for it. I can't see how they can continue to have one.
This has escalated to another level, right? Because before he was being annoying, but he didn't actually cross the line of disrupting things involving the team. Okay, you don't make the flight. You're just not going to play. you're suspended and you're doing stuff, you're poking fun at Pat Riley in your coffee shop. You're getting graffiti artists to put different things on the mural of you to talk about how you want to leave Miami. Like, all of this stuff is annoying. You can change your hair, you can change your shoes, all this other stuff. But once you start getting to the point where we tell you you're not starting, so you're done, you're just going to walk out of practice. Now you're affecting the other guys on that team. Now you're affecting and undermining the coach's ability to do his job. And I know that is something that almost no team in the National Basketball Association tolerates. The Miami Heat definitely don't tolerate that kind of thing.
So I want to be careful about how I announce this right now, because I'm not seeing multiple sources saying the same thing, but this is something that is starting to make the rounds on NBA Twitter. The Miami Heat are no longer willing to oblige Jimmy Butler's trade request to the Phoenix Suns.
Oh no.
So I mean, this is the next level. It's descending. This is like Pat Riley's digging in. Jimmy Butler's been a little dug in. He's digging in a little bit more. And really, I mean, if Pat Riley wants to win this war, like, you put Jimmy in the corner and you don't touch him, like, you just leave him in the corner, and he's going to try and do whatever he can from the corner to, chime in and be there. But the truth is once the trade deadline's done, if he's still on that team, there's nothing that can realistically happen. Mm-hmm. You might get TNT talking about it every now and then, or ESPN or whoever, but the noise will die down after the trade deadline. At that point, it'll just be something behind closed doors that you just have to deal with. Then the question is, does Jimmy now turn around and escalate and opt in to his contract for next year for $54 million? I think he'd be silly not to.
Yeah, because it's guaranteed money and it's leverage. It's, if I have to go in free agency, I can't get the money I'd like to get. And because I've done all of these things to get what I want, now I've actually made myself less attractive to other teams as a free agent. So yeah, I'm going to take the money and I'm going to try and force your hand that way. This has gotten uglier than I ever could have imagined.
And, again, from the Heat's side, and who knows if the kind of offers they're getting or talking about now are near the quality of maybe where they were when all of this first started. But there's a team out there in the Golden State Warriors who can put together a very enticing package. And it would almost be bad business for Pat Riley, for where things have gotten right now, for you to give up the opportunity to go after Jonathan Kuminga and some draft picks, maybe even get Trace Jackson Davis in it as well. Like, there are very good packages that other teams can put together. Even the Grizzlies. I mean, at this point, who cares what Jimmy wants? You just send him away, send him to the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really interested to see how this plays out between now and February 6th. That's the trade deadline. But gotta love breaking Jimmy Butler news. The carousel is still spinning.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is just, I mean, he can make content for an entire show every single day if he wants to. And he basically has for like a few days, just because there's just so much stuff to say and get into. Anyway, T-Licious on the text line says, this made up for yesterday since football is dead to me now. And he had Wisconsin, Milwaukee on a -1.5 spread. At Northern Kentucky, he had Marquette on a -9.5 spread. Being visited by Villanova. He had Dayton at a -4.5 spread, basically being visited by St. Joseph's. And then he had Purdue -4.5, Purdue hosting Michigan, and then Virginia Commonwealth hosting St. Bonaventure. And all of these legs of this parlay added up to make a $5 bet, pay out $187. So T-Licious getting it done, even though football season is burning literally all of us. Baker's Cocky Hens on the text line to say Jimmy should show up front row tonight in a Suns jersey, talking mad crap all game like Spike Lee to Reggie Miller.
Please let me see this. that really would be the next thing that Jimmy could do to try and kick this up a notch.
Exactly. Like, the thing with Jimmy is, like, you say that like it's kind of a joke. He's serious. He might actually do it. That's the thing with Jimmy. It's not off the table. None of this stuff is off the table, which is what makes it incredibly fun. All right. We've got to come back to the long shot parlay of the day and give Dylan some time to break that down for you. So you're listening to Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Make extra money daily from your sports betting? Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here. You know, I'm always about finding ways to take sports betting to the next level. And that's exactly why I'm pumped to tell you about Edge Boost, the financial platform that pays you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all of your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. That's free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're already doing. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it will never be declined for gambling activity. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today. That's edgeboost.bet. Once again, edgeboost.bet.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job. That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
This new year, I want to spend more time with my family, get healthier, and make sure my finances are in order. That includes finally securing life insurance. My friend recommended SelectQuote. They've helped more than 2 million people find coverage in the last 40 years. In 15 minutes, a licensed insurance agent found me a $500,000 policy for only $16 a month. And my husband got a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Plus, we qualified for same-day life insurance. No medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. With SelectQuote, even if you have a health concern, be it high blood pressure, diabetes, even heart disease, their experienced agents can find you the right life insurance policy at the lowest price. Make life insurance the first resolution you check off your list this year.
Call Select Quote at 1-800-262-1212 to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-262-1212. Or go to selectquote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-262-1212. Details on example rate at selectquote.com.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Arizona's new home for sports.
And we're back, part of the show where we try to hunt for some lost dollars, bring them back into the fold. And that's the long shot parlay of the day. And boy, we've got a really, really good one I'm excited about. I've already put that in a couple apps, honestly. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I just happened to put it back into FanDuel right now. And this is where, it's very important to try and get on the long shot parlay as early in the day as possible. I will always have the picks posted for Beat the Book definitely by noon on any given day. A lot of the time I get them up there around like 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. So that's always a good time to check it out. When I put this together on FanDuel this morning, it was paying a little bit over 100-1 odds. I just put it back into FanDuel right now. The pricing has gone down because these are all props or spreads that other people are betting. So that's driving the pricing down, but you can still get on this. It's paying a little bit over 87-1. And I'm going to break down what this long shot parlay looks like. This is a 4-leg parlay, and we are taking Amen Thompson on the Houston Rockets to get 6 or more assists against the Boston Celtics tonight. We need Luke Kennard on the Memphis Grizzlies to make 3 or more 3-point shots. He's taken on the New York Knicks. Then we need the Dallas Mavericks to defeat the Washington Wizards on an alternate spread. We need them to win by 17 or more points. And then finally, we are counting on the Milwaukee Bucks to defeat the Utah Jazz by 13 or more points. That's another alternate spread. And I'm going to break down each of these legs right now. starting with Amen Thompson on the Houston Rockets to get 6 or more assists tonight. I'm going to be completely upfront in that this is going to be the most difficult leg. The reason why it's worth it to bet on is because of how it's priced, and I'm going to break that down. But in terms of him actually getting this number, Amen Thompson is almost doubling his regular season average for assists so far in the month of January. He's had 24 assists in his last 4 games, including 10 assists in his last game against the Cavaliers. So he is taking on the Boston Celtics tonight. They are a top 3 team in the NBA in pace. Meanwhile, the Rockets are a top 14 team in pace. So what does that mean? Both of these teams look to play high tempo. They're going to score fast. They're going to look to maximize as many possessions as they can possibly get on offense, which bodes well for trying to count on Amen Thompson to get 6 or more assists. Now, the actual price on this leg, this was the thing that really drew me into including it in the long shot parlay. Even right now, it's paying 4-1 odds for Amen Thompson to get 6 or more assists. And again, he just had 10 assists in his last game. 4-1 odds is about roughly 20% implied probability. And this absolutely has a much higher chance than 20% to hit. It's probably closer to about 40%. So it's just a great value prop to leverage. You could play that straight up. We're going to include it with the long shot parlay. And then Luke Kennard for 3 or more 3-point shots. This is another leg where the value is just very difficult to ignore here. Luke Kennard has actually made 15 3-point shots over his last 3 games. He's taking on the Knicks tonight, who rank in the bottom 3 in the NBA for allowing the highest 3-point shooting percentage to opposing teams. Now, in games specifically played in Madison Square Garden, Luke Kennard has a great track record of good 3-point shooting performances. And that's important to keep in mind because there is a dynamic within the NBA of specific arenas, maybe just getting a little bit more out of you. Madison Square Garden is one of those mecca kind of arenas. If you're in the Western Conference, you only get one game at MSG every season. So this is going to be Luke Kennard's shot tonight at MSG. If you go back and you look at his last 2 games of playing in Madison Square Garden, he's made 3 or more threes in each game. So with this individual leg, this morning it was paying over 2-1. It's actually gone down. It's at about like plus 180 right now. It's still going to be a good leg to back. But if you happen to get it at over 2-1 odds, that was just excellent value for that player prop. Now, moving over to the Dallas Mavericks, they're taking on the Washington Wizards tonight. And what do we know about the Washington Wizards? They have the worst defense in the NBA. They also happen to have the worst record right now in the regular season.
Per CBS Sports, they have the worst starting lineup in terms of the discrepancy between offensive rating and defensive rating. They have the worst net rating in basketball. It's bad.
So, when it comes to betting, looking to bet against them, generally pretty good strategy to employ. Now, the Mavericks, they're actually coming off a 15-point loss to the Boston Celtics over the weekend. So this is a get-right game for the Dallas Mavericks. They are actually down 2 big men with Derek Lively and Maxi Kleber out for an extended period of time, but they still have enough on this roster to be able to beat the Wizards by a pretty big margin. So count on the Mavericks. They need to cover minus 16.5 alternate spread. The final leg, Milwaukee Bucks, minus 12.5 alternate spread. Just keep in mind, the Utah Jazz are on a 5-game losing streak. They just lost to the Memphis Grizzlies by 22 points. They already played the Bucks once this season. They lost by 23 in Milwaukee, and they've got 3 key guys that are questionable to play. Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, and Walker Kessler, all potentially sitting this one out. Look for Milwaukee to roll. Giannis is probable to play. They should be good to win this game by 13 or more points. That is the long shot parlay. Don't forget to check out the Beat the Book website to see all those other bets to make tonight in the NBA. That's all I got, Keon.
And that'll do it for us. We've got your Super Bowl coverage as we get closer and closer to that game right here on 1580 The Fanatic Daily Blender next.
I'm Chris Rose with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Chiefs held off the Bills 30